Good morning, Nigeria, and I make you welcome. This is Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike. We'll be starting with our newspapers and, of course, see through some of them. We have 4 newspapers for this. I just truly do hope we'll have more than enough time to go through some of them. The Vanguard, Daily Trust, the Punch, and one other newspaper. And from there would be our conversation for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have joining me live in the studio is Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst, development communicator, to see what we have today, and equally another member of the press, Obong Thompson, journalist, public affairs analyst. Thank you so very much, my people, my colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do appreciate your time. Yes, Happy New Year to everyone. Yes, it's actually the first time, Obong Thompson, we are having you right here on Enterprise Television. Happy New Year to you. But let's start with the first daily on our desk for today. Let's start with the Guardian newspaper. We have big stories. Stay alert in public places. Defense headquarters advise citizens in Nigeria. We equally have other interesting stories. Reps Minority Caucus identifies alterations to tax law. Where is Sadio Mane in your team? Well, that is from the sports angle. We equally have other growing stories here. And as WEF, Shetima seeks African-led growth, or just a shift from aid to investment. Does it really mean this thing he's saying here, or was it just speaking to what was written down to him? But Emeka, let's get to this little, I do not know if to call it unsubstantiated report that we have going on now, that there is this pressure to replace Shetima because of the growing tension of coming from the United States to this Christian genocide thing. Hopefully, we have a president who's a Muslim and a vice president who's a Christian. Do you think that is on the table?
Yeah, so I learned, yes, it's been said again and again that there is this pressure on President Bola Tinubu to get a Christian candidate from the north. And again, he's there was a time, was it last year when, year before last, 2024, when, his interactions with former Speaker of the House of Reps, Yakubu Dogara, instigated speculations that he might be thinking of floating Dogara as a running mate in 2027. So with this Christian genocide thing, it appears as if, it has gained traction. That idea has seriously gained traction. Well, it's up to him. Tinubu is going to be only one candidate out of how many in the election. So it's his party's internal affairs.
All right, so let's see how that works, though. Obong Thompson, still on this matter at hand. They say our President Bola Tinubu is a strategist, political strategist that is, and he's really doing a lot and on the table. Right now, NNPP from Kano have all shifted to the APC. Don't you think that the replacement of Shetima might be, with all of these things you see him doing, hopefully he gains all the support from states, so therefore it's easy for him to...
Well, you see, the essence of Shetima coming in as the vice president was to, according to the report and what Shetima as then was even making it public, was that he will be able to handle the security situation in the country, while President Tinubu will concentrate to restore the economic the falling economic situation in Nigeria. But with the two, narratives, we've not been able to see all those things coming on board, especially with the growing insecurity in the northern part of Nigeria. So, Shetima has been there for close to 4 years now. The security tension is still high. So, I would rather want to see how President Tinubu will be able to replace Shettima. And I think because there's something to fall back to, to substantiate or back up his decision or his strategy, that because of the insecurity, he can, be able to drop Shettima. But I think these are not the yearnings of Nigerians, whether, vice presidency or cerebral. These are not what Nigerians are interested in.
So replacing him does not really do any good to Nigerians.
Nigerians, Nigerians are hungry and, they want, employment opportunities, they want, opportunities, to be, to move about without being molested or killed or kidnapped. So these are what the presidency should focus its attention on.
All right, I think it's very important. I love that last word. Nigerians actually do not care, who governs them, from what religion or from what tribe. What they are more concerned about is give us dividends of democracy so we all can be proud Nigerians. So even if Shettima is replaced and we still have killings in the north and different parts of the country, it still doesn't make any sense. But let's get to the Punch newspaper for today. Emeka, insecurity, anxiety as NYSC camps open in high risk state. Do you think, many decades after, do you think NYSC is still relevant?
Why not? It is. NYSC is relevant. Other nations like Israel, they have their own version of NYSC.
Yeah, for their security. Not
every nation,
not for us.
Every nation has what it's most important to. But I feel that NYSC is due for an overhaul and a change of mission. We have serious challenges in many areas, critical areas in the economy. In the oil industry, there are a lot of positions that cannot be filled by Nigerians. You have to bring in foreigners, especially Indians, technical positions, and especially in welding, underwater welding, there's a kind of welding, again, I've forgotten the name, that you can't get Nigerians, you can hardly get Nigerians. And then the government has a local content policy. How are we filling that local content policy in the oil industry, in other areas? How are we filling them up? We are filling them up with expatriates. So I think NYSC should be a 2-year program, whereby, within which, first of all, the government should drop a vision Nigeria. Now, do we want to be an industrialized nation? Do we want to be a services nation? Do we want to be an agro-allied nation? Or do we want to remain an oil-producing nation? The world has gone beyond just digging the soil and bringing things out. The world has gone beyond that. The world has now gone to mining the brain. And that's why Elon Musk was saying at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, that he told people don't go to medical school, that in 5 years, AI will think smarter than much of humanity. So, what is he saying? That there'll be doctors, robotics. Yes, so
that's scary. Actually.
What I mean, no, it's not the world, Nigeria, we like approaching things from the angle of fear. Why did Google and Ipsos say that Nigeria is number 1 in the world in AI adoption, in the use of AI? What it tells you is that we are not interested in how many barrels of oil you get from the Niger Delta. We are not interested in how many tubers of yam are coming out of whichever state. We are more interested in what we use, in how we use technology to process, our what comes out of our gray matter. So what am I saying? NYSC should key into it. President Tinubu said sometime last year that Nigeria will drive Africa's adoption of AI. But we don't see that. Nigeria doesn't even have an AI framework. National Assembly is still talking or working on it. They are more interested in building houses, building schools and all that. Instead of brainstorming on I can say it without fear of contradiction, that a large number of them don't even understand the intricacies of AI. What AI is it? AI is it? Look, I'm sure like those of us on this table and many parents today, we have to constantly follow up global trends, events. If not, our children will embarrass us. My little daughter is 10, was asking me certain questions about AFCON. I answered. When it came to WAFCON, I didn't forget WAFCON is the female version of AFCON. She asked me, I said, okay, I will check and
get back.
10 years. So it tells you, why will these children be in 5 years? And this is 2026. So Elon Musk is telling you that in 3 years, that AI will take over everything. So NYSC should be repackaged in that line if we are really serious. And you don't have to deploy people all over the nation. No. You can deploy NYSC, deploy them to areas of need. And let me tell you something. Put up a competition today and tell youths that anybody that can generate solutions to banditry, how to end banditry, in 1 week will win $1 million. Let me tell you.
You see solutions.
Even Elon Musk will pay to buy those rights, to buy the patent. Yes.
Very, very, very true. Obong, I would love you to add your thoughts on this, because these are very salient truth, but they are there. Our leaders seem not to see these things. They seem not to understand some of these things. So what's your take?
I think there's a popular saying that the only constant thing in life is change. And we have been operating NYSC for some time now with an objectives. But if we really meet up with that objectives, you will see that Nigerians are even more, divisive now than ever. And the essence of the NYSC was to unify Nigerians and allow Nigerians to learn through different tribes, regions, cultures, and religion, and so on, and have that tolerance to be able to, become patriotic and work in all, a sector of Nigerian economy without any favoritism. But that has been defeated as we speak. So what Mr. Emeka is saying is the right approach that should be taken at this point in time. I would liken NYSC to United Nations. I once said, even before Donald Trump, formed Board of Peace, I had earlier suggested, and I put it on my Facebook post, that the objectives and the functions of United Nations has been, it has become stale, because, they no longer, perform the function that they were set up for. And they cannot even, they only send in press releases, just like what we have in PDP today. They make press releases, no proactive.
You are shaking the table.
No proactive measures taken to forestall all the wars and whatsoever we are having all around the world. So the same thing happens in NYSC program. The program has overstayed its welcome and had to undergo some reforms that will take a place, that will become solution oriented to the Nigerian people and Nigerian states.
All right. I just hope that all of this would work. It actually started getting worse when parents started selecting where their kids could go to. They started bribing their way through, and I do not know how. Finally, just before we end for this particular segment, Emeka, since this is the weekend, let's talk entertainment for a bit, but I'd love us to look at it from people who understand from historical facts here. There's this debate, this little social media war between Fela and Nicola Okuti and the new generation of Wizkid. Generation at war. That's how they labeled it on the Punch. Generation at war. Fela, of course, Wizkid. It's usually said that when people do not know how good their grandparents were, they always think they are better than them.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this? Is this a generational thing that is historical, that we shouldn't blame our current generation for insulting those who were there before them. What's your take?
No, I think Wizkid was just trying to overstretch his popularity. He said that he's the one pushing Fela's legacy forward. That's not true now. We saw Fela, we danced Fela, we sang Fela, you know, we danced with Fela.
Yeah, the millennials now, what he is directly saying is that he's pushing it amongst his age grade.
No, he's pushing Afro beats, not Fela. There's a distinction. Fela was Fela. Fela created Afrobeats, right? He did a fusion and all of that. It's just like trying to compare King Sunny Ade or Sir Victor Waifo with younger, you know. Sir Victor Waifo brought in dexterity with the guitar. The same thing with King Sunny Ade. He has his own style. So if you try to copy him, you will fail. But in the general genre of juju music, you can do your thing, no problem. But if you begin to now, let's say you gotta get a spinning guitar like Sir Victor Waifo, one day the guitar will fall off your waist now. Because Sir Victor Waifo will be spinning the guitar, and at a time you just wondered at his dexterity. He will just go up. The way he will start playing the guitar. In fact, it's not even the lyrics, people, the theatrical performance.
The art in it.
Oh my. You will not even want to go away. And don't forget, Sir Victor Waifo set up the first private TV station in Nigeria, Joromi Television, in 1981. In 1981, Joromi Television. I was growing up in Benin then. You know, Joromi Television. And so when it comes to the visual arts, the role of visual arts in entertainment, you know, those men, give it to those men. They had it. Those men and women, you know, they had it. Fela, you not only enjoyed Fela's music, the art was there. But tell me the art in what many of these guys are showing today. We're talking of art, not just entertainment, not just singing. Yes, give it to Wizkid. Beautiful, he's doing his own. But Fela was an institution. And Fela has given birth. You know, Fela's style, Fela's genre, Fela's art has given birth to different musicians. You know, using Afrobeat, some you know, mixing Afrobeat with other genres. How can you now say you are greater than the man
who created the ecosystem for you?
How can you be greater than? I think maybe some people close to Wizkid should advise him to step up that controversy, and then Shehu Kuti should leave him alone.
Exactly, because, you know, yes, Rebecca, because I wanted to get into that. Obong Thompson, should we blame Shehu Kuti, who is more of, he has this, yes, and weakest,
he's too combative
temperament. So, you see the cause of all of these things.
Yeah, I think he has heightened the tension, you know, and the awareness about the comment by Wizkid, which I believe the substance in what the today music is giving out cannot be compared to what we had in the time of Fela and so on. You know, apart from the music itself, you see, Fela himself was in the forefront of, you know, criticizing bad governance, you know, across the world, not only in Nigeria. So such a great icon cannot be, you know, just like comparing Michael Jackson with one other musician in America.
Maybe
you know, these are people that have their shoes cannot be matched or it cannot be worn by any other person. So they have set their values, their standard, and you know, Shehu should allow Nigerians, because already the case is in the public forum, and Nigerians are making, you know, their contributions. They know who is who, you know, who is what and who is not what. So Wizkid, you know, I will not take him serious, because for him to have said, make that kind of ambiguous statement, I think he's not fully aware of who Fela was.
Very well. Our people would say that if the elders are not there to lend their caution, that kids would kill vultures thinking they are chickens. That is the truth, and I just hope that something will be learned from that. But Both gentlemen, Emeka and Obong, will be here to take us on our main conversation. When we return, the APC civil society rise against the Rivers impeachment threat, call for National Assembly intervention. In the Beat Enterprise weekend it is. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Thank you so very much for joining us. This is still Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. To our main conversation for today, where we have it that civil society groups, media stakeholders, and leaders of the All Progressive Congress APC on Friday protested at the APC Secretariat in Abuja, calling on the National Assembly to urgently intervene in the escalating political crisis in Rivers State. The protesters urged the lawmakers to invoke Section 11(4) of the Constitution to assume the function of the Rivers State House of Assembly, citing what they described as a complete loss of credibility and legitimacy. They condemned the Assembly's impeachment move against Governor Siminalayi Fubara, labeling it as a dangerous abuse of legislative power that strengthens democratic stability. APC Leaders Forum spokesperson Chief Eze Chukwuemeka described the impeachment drive as a politically motivated vendetta aimed at destabilizing governance. Let's get talking. Emeka Madnago, Obong Thompson, still here. Obong, I'd love to start with you on this one. What's this your take on the National Assembly in Abuja taking over the responsibility of the Rivers State House of Assembly? Would this have happened if it was another party?
Well,
and not the APC?
You know, it's good that, you know, we still have people that keep speaking up to the authorities, you know, because if not for that, we can believe, you know, he can just pocket everybody in Rivers State, and if not care is not taken, he will also take the same approach to want to pocket the whole Nigerians. Because how can you want to influence because you believe you brought the governor into power, you know, which I know you used the state resources. So it was not even you. It was not even Wike that brought Fubara to power, because he used the resources of Rivers State. Without the resources of Rivers State, that capacity wouldn't have had that capacity. So for proud arrogancy and greed, it has come back to winch hunting now, that the civil liberty organization are calling for his neck. So you see a situation where the House of Assembly will abandon their legislative duty, or the fact that the main benefit in this exercise should be that they give dividends of democracy to the people of Rivers State. But you see them, you know, at loggerheads with the governor at every interval, impeachment, impeachment. And this is becoming too much for Nigerians to, you know, to bear. That's why you see, you know, the APC supporters going to the APC headquarters in Abuja to protest, calling for the National Assembly to take over the legislative activities.
Why did the civil society protest when Fubara was with the PDP?
Actually, I think it's a political interest. Interest has come in as we speak. The PDP never had that, you know, you remember PDP as a party were still having, you know, some faction, and they were not in harmony with what was happening as at then. So, but now they have seen what is going on in the, I mean, the APC wants to build a formidable party. So they don't want any distraction of any kind. And they don't want anybody to come and set, a bad antecedent, for them. So they are trying to, protect their interests. So that's why I said it's a game of politics, is a game of interest. You can see how interesting the APC supporters and members are calling for a stall in the prosecution of Siminalayi Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, which is the right thing to do, because if the impeachment were to be predicated on genuine reasons, there wouldn't have been any need for any form of intervention from any quarters. Nigerians and the supporters of APC will say, okay, let the law take its course. But in this aspect, we have understand the fact that this is predicated on the paymaster, the FCT minister, influencing the assemblymen to go about this impeachment. So this is where the problem is.
All right. Emeka, this is a very big problem. In fact, if we have 20 hours, we might not even, we might exhaust it and still want more. But on this particular issue, the reason why I'm concerned party politics and politicking in Nigeria is because why is it that when the right thing ought to be done, we don't do it until it is party affiliated? Civil society organizations are supposed to be neutral. When things are bad, they call it by the name. But at this point, do you think that civil society organization has been infiltrated? Do you think so?
Well, let me first clear the question you asked, the second question you asked, my colleague. Eze Chukwuemeka is a member of the APC. He was in the new PDP. He was their spokesman. You know the arrowhead of new PDP in Rivers State. Rivers State was Rotimi Amici, the former governor of Rivers State and two-time speaker of Rivers State House of Assembly. So, of course, you know how it's difficult to see the lines between civil society and politics, in Nigeria. Yes, they march to the National Assembly as a civil society group, but Eze Chukwuemeka is a member of the APC. And they've been trying, they left the PDP far ahead of Fubara. Now that Fubara has come to join them in the APC, that's a big fish now. And don't forget that there are two factions of APC in Rivers State.
Two factions?
Yes.
Okay, the Okocha faction.
There is the Okocha faction and there is the Meka Beke faction. The Meka Beke faction is Rotimi Amaechi's side. Tony Okocha, anyway, well, it's not anybody's side.
It's the Wike's faction.
No, not Wike. It's no longer following Wike.
It's no longer following Wike.
Well, they're not the ones who told the House of Assembly to stop
really
impeachment. Yes, he's no longer, because why will he follow Wike? Wike is in PDP now, and it appears that Wike was not allowed to join the APC because he wanted to join the APC in a grand style. He likes entertainment with his band and everything. With Fubara dancing behind him, like a conquered slave. But Fubara went right ahead, into the APC. Martin Mewule and Co. also jumped in. Now let me tell you what. Very soon INEC will release the guidelines for the 2027 election. Very soon primaries will start from the ward level, up local government and then state primaries. Who will be in charge of it? Who will draw the list? Now that Daniel Bwala, the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on media publicity, has said that Fubara is the leader of APC in the party, what do you think? The list will be drawn up by Fubara. Do you understand? Don't forget, at the national level, Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, has at least moved it and set up a national executive. And at the end of the day, they are going to win the leadership contest. Because already Sam Dadi Anyanwu, who was the national secretary, has withdrawn his case. So Wike has lost one part of, supporters, So gradually, the remaining cases in court are just about legitimacy, which will be very, very easy to, sort out. Now, without the backing of President Tinubu, without the backing of Fubara as a governor, and you having fought all the governors, by the time the court pronounces that the Sheyi Makinde convention in Ibadan was validly held, what is Wike holding on to? You don't have any governor. The House of Assembly members, let me tell you, by June or July, when the primaries might likely hold, they will be without tickets now. And maybe they will move back to PDP. If PDP, but PDP won't accept them. So maybe they will even go to maybe other parties to contest. So that is why you see they are doing this last-ditch effort to make sure that if their fantasy, comes to pass, then Martina Mewule will be governor for 3 months. And within that 3 months, it's politics now. Politics is a game. My colleague is here. If I'm going up, no. Leave. Just 3 months. Within 3 months, it can do substantial damage. Okay. Within 3 months, before they hold another election. I'm talking of in his dreams, because it won't happen. Okay. Now already, the ball has come to deliver Aso Rock's message to Wike. One, we have overcompensated you for the role you played in bringing APC to power, in bringing Tinubu to power. 2, we allowed you to stay away from Treasury single account. Now that is the bullet. That is the prime bullet there. They have told Wike, look at how big this bullet is. So we removed the FCT from Treasury single account. So, bros, take note. We know what we allowed you, the responsibility we took away from you. And we know what we can use that, how we can weaponize that against you. So, now, the matter has gone to the appeal court, because a Rivers State High Court, already said that, ruled that, the chief judge of the state should not receive an impeachment notice from the House of Assembly. Now, the governor and the deputy, Ngozi Ward, went to another Rivers State High Court to grant an injunction. But the court said no. That since the matter, the speaker has already appealed the judgment of the ruling of that Rivers State High Court. The court has now indefinitely adjourned Sendai, that matter till the appeal court decides. And when will the appeal court decide? This is January now, maybe by March or so. And by then, INEC would have released its timetable. Then, from there, the matter goes to Supreme Court. Give it another 3 months, April, May, June. Is the matter not dead on arrival? The matter is gone. One of the assembly members, was it 2 days ago, was actually saying that each of them should have got 1 billion naira as constituency, for their constituency projects. But that the former minister administrator, that the budget passed by former minister administrator, that the budget passed by National Assembly, the House of Reps, not be able to. Right. Where is the money they will use to fight for pride? Should not be able to. Right. Where is the money they will use to fight for pride? They should have listened to Wike. They should have gone quietly. They still have time now. They can go like who was the man that went to Jesus by night? They can go quietly by night and go and meet Fubara and beg him. I say, sir, no vex. And go and meet Fubara and beg him. I say, sir, no vex. I beg, we're on your side. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time. Tinubu will remove Wike. He will remove him. He'll find a way to get him out. Either directly or, let me tell you one other method of government. They might just look for something, just like what was done against the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the Walter Onogen. Just look for one ex parte order over one matter against him. And that the federal government should investigate him on this. And they may ask him now to step aside and go and face that investigation. So it won't be that Tinubu removed Wike, or it won't be that he removed Wike. It's the court. The federal government decided to obey the court.
All right. This is becoming more like a coincidence in the Niger Delta region, the south of Nigeria. We have similar issue with Obaseki and his mentor, Oshomole, in Edo State. The one with Delta, the godfather and the godson seem to be together. They're still very good friends. Bayelsa, Timipre Silva.
No, not Silva. Jonathan.
Okay. Jonathan is still the Lord.
Jonathan is the godfather of Governor Doyediri.
Even if the governor has moved to the APC, still?
It doesn't matter. Politics
is
a family.
Who? The governor? The governor has moved. The governor has moved. The governor has moved to the APC.
It's a family. Don't worry whether PDP or APC. They are
all right. But even if we come
what is happening in the Niger Delta?
Because I actually wanted to come to Akwa Ibom now, this time around. Emmanuel Odon and Omoeno. I do not know if they are still together or not. But let's equally take a look at defections here and there. By the time Emmanuel annoyed them, SAN defected to the APC.
Yes.
How is this helping the Akwa Ibom State man? Because these are very important matters we don't talk about. We talk about politics. We don't talk about dividends of democracy to the man on the street.
Yeah, I think just to buttress on the point we are about to make about the Niger Delta managing, success, we've always had it, difficult. We're about producing Wike to be one of the strongest man from the Niger Delta.
Yes.
But you see, we often lack the capacity to manage success at the top, and that is exactly the same thing that is happening to Wike. Because Wike would have grown despite the fact that you brought about the emergence of
Siminalayi
Fubara, and Fubara somehow might have misbehaved, but as a leader that wants to be seen as a global or a national figure, there's a way he would have also, managed the challenges, such that he will not go messy this approach that he's using. Who tells him that if Fubara does not, allow him to be influential in River State, that will end his political career?
You see, his political career would go there. Yeah,
so that's a wrong mentality, mindset, for any one of such a high-ranking officer to be thinking, because at the national level, you control a lot of, influence, even, at the point, even the state. I know it's some states, also have the same issues, but he's supposed to have managed this thing in such a way that he will still, reconcile with Fubara and give peace a chance, and then it to now become a situation where he will rub Fubara's back and Fubara's will rub his back, and that is exactly the same thing that is happening in Akwa Ibom as we speak. That is why you have not seen Udon would have come out to confront Governor Omoeno, but he applied some level of sense.
But are they in good terms?
They are in good terms, no doubt. Why would they even have issues?
There are no issues whatsoever.
I don't think there's any issues, So they are.
Has Emmanuel moved to the APC?
Yeah, he hasn't moved to APC, but he doesn't need to be in the same political party for for them to have good rapport or good relationship, or to move to have progress in the state. So Udom is moving quite well, and I know for sure in some report that I'm getting, they still have one or two, in-house discussions they make within themselves on the quiet, that is not known to the public. So things are being settled out, and this is the same approach I would have expected Wike to also use in the case of River State and the Delta as we speak, and the case of Edo State. But you see, because of I grab it all because I want to be the overall, that mentality will cause a lot of, chaos in the system. So Barrister Emmanuel Enoedem was one of the biggest fish. In fact, he has grown politically, and he was called to bar at the age of 24. And he even rose to become the national legal advisor of PDP at the time. And then he has been very instrumental to the emergence of Governor Udom Emmanuel, former Governor Udom Emmanuel. He also played majorly and critical role to the emergence of Governor Umoino. So he felt...
So he's more like a kingmaker now.
He is, you know, because Dr. Godswill Akpabio brought him to bridge and facilitate and mobilize to bring about Governor Udom Emmanuel. And after Governor Udom Emmanuel served for 8 years, also gave him that mantle, you know, to mobilize to bring about the emergence of Governor Umoino. And at the time that Umoino now moved to APC, the gentleman, son, felt very, very disappointed. He was grieved, as the report will have it. But, you know, repeatedly, and I still speak about applying some level of intelligence. Governor Umoino is a man that possesses that enormous capacity to bring about peace, you know, to bring about unity in every system. And that is how the man has continued to appeal and persuade Barrister Enoidem to be able to come with him to APC after a lot, after even backing, you know, at the point...
But does he need to come to... You were the one that said now that Emmanuel Udom does not need to come to the APC to be friends with Umoino. Does Barrister need to necessarily move to the APC to do his job?
I mentioned yes.
He needs to move to the APC to do it.
I mentioned yes, he needs to, because of the role that is always he always plays.
Outside.
He can't do it outside. You know, he cannot do it outside. So because the mobilization has to do with physical presence, you know, to mobilize all the young team, young men around to be able to, you know, vote for the governor. So what you have going on in Akwa Ibom is an example of what I think is a political formula that every other state should, you know, study.
All right. So while we hope that every other state will study, Emeka, just before we leave for today, I was listening to an economist who was saying that before President Muhammad Buhari, we had an economy running to about $500 billion US. President Tinubu, right now, our economy is running little above $180 billion US. We can see the difference, how we've gone low. The GDP of every Nigerian before now used to be $3,000 US. Yeah, now it has fallen to per capita. Sorry, it's come down to $1,000 US. And the reason is Tinubu felt when he was removing subsidy, floating the naira, that these governors who are all struggling to plug to the center would invest in the economy. Now we have a whole big conundrum. Where does all this leave the common Nigerian with all these unnecessary defections?
Yeah, let me tell you. Tinubu made a big blunder. If you say you are removing subsidy, if you say government was borrowing to fund subsidy, then you turned around to say you made 10 trillion savings for so. How can you make savings if I'm borrowing from my colleague and I stop borrowing? So from where am I making the savings? So you are lying. You are not borrowing. What happened was that maybe the money that should have been going to the federation account to be shared by the 3 tiers, federal, state, local government, you are cutting it short and putting it into subsidy. Okay. So now that you stop subsidy, you had to follow the Supreme Court judgment that and the Constitution that all monies generated by the federation should be paid to the federation account and shared among the federal, state, and local governments. Section 162, subsection 3, I think, of the Constitution. So they couldn't manage that. It should have waited, because they were all saying that the economy will collapse. Will have collapsed by June. It was just a lie. It was not true. It was just hysteria, unnecessary mob hysteria. Because the Petroleum Industry Act gave 18 months, an 18-month transition period to the end of subsidy. And that within that period, the NNPCL with the state-run refineries were supposed to have been taken to the Nigerian Stock Exchange and privatized. That was not done. There was supposed to be a transition to private refining, to deregulation. Dangote, was shifting his, the commencement of his refinery, eventually they said, okay, by June, July, they will start. But some people within the system, like this former MD of NMDPRA, were playing politics, gave the government impression that Dangote refinery was not fit, that their products contain too much sulfur, when they don't have a lab. Where is the lab that you use to test to show that Dangote's products have so much for sulfur? So, based on that wrong advice, Tinubu just declared subsidy is gone. And at the end of the day, now he has discovered, he later discovered that these people just lied to him. Now, you have removed the NMDPRA man who gave you wrong advice about that, because Dangote fought back. If, you see, the NCDMB, the Nigerian Content Development and Management Board, under the former Secretary, Simi Wabote, there was something they did. They invested 20% in Watersmith refinery and some refineries, to boost local content. If Tinubu would have moved that subsidy money, instead of putting it into the federation account, like you said, expecting governors to invest, you should have just taken that money. If I was borrowing money to fix this mug, why would I not take that money and go and be fixing the table? It doesn't make sense. You could have taken that money. Okay, Dangote, listen, we want to remove subsidy as quickly as possible. Now, what we're going to apply the LNG model, which is 49% government, 51% private sector. We are going to, after all, the Gencos and Discos, federal government has 40%. We're going to take 30%. Buhari was talking of 20%. Some people now maneuvered and made sure that the federal government didn't invest up to 20% in Dangote. Tinubu would have just said, okay, Dangote, we are taking this subsidy money, we are going to invest, we are going to in fact raise the stake to 30% so that you can start Watersmith, Edo Refinery, Oyabua, we want you to hasten up. Whatever the problem is, we want you to hasten up within 9 months, come on stream. Put all of them together in the basket. And then now say, okay, we are going to end subsidy regime within, a period. And then now you would have handed over to Dangote. Now, what the adjustment is this? It's the same subsidy money, but be managed in a more efficient way, and government would have made huge revenues from it. Now, look at the situation now. NNPCL has not been taken to the NGX. The situation is not better. Now, what is happening is that those who thought they were working against Dangote by making false claims about the NNPC refinery, the 4 dead refineries. You know what they have done now? Refineries in Europe and US are shut down because of the winter. The biting winter. So who is the winner now? Dangote. Dangote is the one now taking up the supplies of those US and European refineries that have been shut down. So why didn't we, what was the problem about Dangote? You hear people saying monopoly. What is the monopoly? Government can dilute monopoly by saying, okay, we are going to buy shares in your entity to make sure that it dilutes the monopoly. Look at LNG. Do you know when we had problem with COVID, liquidity with COVID? LNG made up, was actually supplying money to the federation account for 3 times of government to share. So you see, we need a better management of the economy, 1. 2, we should watch the kind of people we put in charge of key national responsibilities. Because what it shows clearly is that former MD of NMDPRA was on an agenda against Dangote, and that agenda led Tinubu into taking that disastrous decision. Look at where we are. Governors are different. What do you expect governors to do? Of all the governors in Nigeria, what are 6 governors? Only Soludo, Chukwuemeka of Anambra State, did not borrow last year and in 2024. Only Soludo.
And Akwa Ibom State.
And then look at
Akwa Ibom borrowed. Akwa Ibom borrowed.
No, they didn't.
Okay. Well, according to budget, didn't borrow. Now, the interesting thing. Now, these governors are tied down. One of the governors actually borrowed 1 trillion naira and was saying that he regrets they should have borrowed 500 billion. So do you know the interesting thing now? The governors, their revenues are tied up in debts. They can't even pay pensions. Right? They can't pay pensions. Some are even owing worker salaries. Some are not paying the new national minimum wage. Is it those same set of people you expect to invest what? So I think there's a recalibration that is needed to be done. Sit down with these owners of these refineries, whether they are 10, 20 or whatever. Invest in them. The NNPC refineries, you can sell them off. They are brownfields. You can sell them off. If you can get buyers who will convert them to greenfields, good and fine. Otherwise, just forget about the government owning refineries directly.
All right. We sincerely hope that all of this would work, because as you were speaking, I actually quickly went to see your claims from Omoeno. We have it. Akwa Ibom State Governor Omoeno has consistently declared that his administration has not borrowed from any bank or financial institution to fund projects since taking office, emphasizing zero borrowing policy. He has challenged critics to show signed loans document. However, local reports have contested this, alleging an unproved 1.2 billion naira loan, a claim which the governor has implicitly challenged. Well, we hope that with time, all of these things will make open. Whether he borrowed or did not borrow.
No, it's not even about Omoeno. The issue is this. If Omoeno has been running government without borrowing, if Saludo has done that, what have they done? They are looking inwards to IGR.
Okay.
Akwa Ibom say right now, if I hear that Omoeno borrowed, I'll be disappointed. What will we be doing with a loan of 1.2 billion? What can he finance in Akwa Ibom?
It's true.
Given the terrain, is it road?
1.2 billion
is it road?
Is it very minuscule?
I mean,
it doesn't really make any.
I mean, so it's better
right?
you improve your IGR because there are a lot of business activities now in Akwa Ibom.
And that is why you see, even the governor has mandated that there must be single
treasury account
for all revenues.
So everything goes into a pause.
That is it.
So better.
And he's really, he has consistently, all the outstanding pension fund debt, he has cleared them as we speak. So he's at least he has for once, put up the state at the economic advantage.
Very well said. I've often said it that I do not know why Nigeria is a special case. Whenever we watch the Premiership League in the UK or wherever, we see Visit Rwanda, a very tiny country, a dot nation, but they have developed themselves such that they are inviting the world to Rwanda. We've never seen Visit Lagos anywhere before. We've never seen Visit Abuja anywhere before. We've never seen Visit Port Harcourt, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Imo, anywhere before. Does that mean that Rwanda has got something that Nigeria does not have? And this still points to leadership at this point.
No, you didn't add Visit Onitsha.
Visit.
So see the screwdriver.
The screwdriver
seller that advised Trump to...
All right, so that is what we have today. We'd love to say thank you to you all for making this a date. Emeka, thank you so very much. Obobong Thompson.
Thank you so much.
As always, for your time. And that's our peak for today. Please do well to visit us. You can find us at Enterprise TV 7. My name is Henry Gwibik. Have yourself a splendid weekend. I wish you well. And bye-bye.